Welcome to the Voice Summit in Arlington, Virginia. I'm here with my friend, Brandon. Brandon, thanks for jumping in to our media room today.
Of course.
So one of your catchphrases, you've done a lot of talks around this. Voice is a program, not a project.
Exactly.
And you've done that talk in different ways many times, but today's going to be different. You're actually going to be talking about the Metaverse.
Yes.
So why switch to the Metaverse theme? Tell me a bit about what's going to happen today at 2:30, and then let's go back to something that you've been pounding the drum on over and over again, voice being a program, not a project. Let's start with the talk that's going to happen today. What can we look forward to?
Yeah, traditionally we do our voice as a program, not a project talk, which we'll talk about later. But, last day of the show, we thought there's been so many great speakers and talks. I thought today we could end with just a nice kind of forward-thinking, innovative look into the future, right? And obviously the Metaverse is on the tip of everybody's tongue.
Right.
And so as an industry, how do we influence it? How do we get involved? How do we help pioneer it? And so we're going to unpack that a little bit today.
Now, the programs that you've been developing with your clients, some of the largest Fortune 500 clients at Skilled Creative, which is the agency that you're the founder of, and you have a big team. One of the things that you and I have talked about is the need for talent. So why don't you let our audience know what type of talent are you looking for, and how should people apply to potentially come and be a part of Skilled Creative?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we're a creative agency, and what I always say is our agency is a combination of all the different brains that are on our team, right? Yeah. So we look for people of diverse backgrounds and diverse thought and diverse creative perspective. And we are constantly looking for people that want to help us, move the needle and move out the edges of conversational AI. So right now, I know actively we're looking for a couple like creative strategy roles, people that are from other agencies who have a creative strategy background who want to use their brain to think about pushing the boundaries of voice. Yeah. I think we're looking for a couple account folks. We have some really good account people on the team already. And we're really looking for technologists. So if you consider yourself a creative technologist, if you're a node developer, if you're a voice developer, if you've been working in chatbots, we are building out a technical team so that we can build best-in-class experiences. And you can find us, I believe on our website, we have a hiring page. Check us out on social media at Skilled Creative. And we have job posts on all the major job boards. Or you can reach out to us at hi@Skilled Creative and just inquire. Hey, I'm intrigued. What's up?
Now, there's a lot of freelancers that will do voice as a project.
Yes.
But there's only a couple agencies in the world that does voice as a program. So that's you, another one of your competitors, Vixen Labs is here. And so tell folks a bit about Skilled Creative if they don't understand why the large RFPs come through your room, why you go out and you bid on these different projects, but as a full holistic program, trying to be the voice agency of record, right, for these different companies. So give some insight in terms of who is Skilled Creative and why do these large brands lean on you?
So it's something that we've built over time. I mean, I started the agency. We're coming up on 5 years now. January 12th will be 5 years for the agency. Yeah. And so when I started the agency, I had just come out of traditional content marketing. And I'm a tech obsessive, right? I love all emerging technologies. I'm scrounging for whatever cool edge tech I can find, and I research. And so when I founded Skill, the idea was bring emerging technologies to Fortune 500 brands who were a little bit behind the ball. Yeah. And so we started doing computer vision and augmented reality and voice and Raspberry Pi and robotics, all emerging, projection mapping. And over the first couple of years of the agency, I just felt that conversational AI was shifting consumer behavior. It was more compelling than the other activations out there. Yeah. And so I said, let's become a voice agency. And so when we started doing voice as a project, we had some early successes. And as you mentioned, we've got really great brands, these adventurous entertainment brands and CPG brands. We found if you did a project, you were accessing project budgets, you were accessing project human resources, and there wasn't as much of a full investment from the organization, right? So you do this pilot project, it goes out for a few weeks or a couple months, and you garner as much learning and you try and roadmap from there. But when we introduced the idea of a voice program to our clients, and we introduced starting with really robust education and strategy, and kind of taking the people that worked in these brands and squaring their shoulders so that they felt confident in voice and conversation, Well, then the creative wheels just kind of started spinning for everybody.
Right.
And some of the greatest successes that we've had with clients are when we get deep into these voice programs and we start iterating on projects and we start ideating the next phase and we start thinking about multiple touch points and multiple modalities. And you can't do that as much when you're doing a project.
Right.
And so by making it a program, you're thinking about it from 70 layers deep and what's your go-to-market strategy. So we just feel that an investment in a program, both from a brand perspective and from our agency perspective, people are bought in, and you're just making better things at the end of the day. And so that's been our methodology that we've been preaching across the industry, and we've had some success with it, and we hope other people do too.
You and I first met when you came to Bradley Metrock's Voice of the Car Summit, April 2019. Right.
A while ago.
It was the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. That was a really, really fun event. I think it was an extraordinary experience for the whole community. Skilled has consistently sponsored Bradley's events, sponsored this event, pizza events. You've been on pretty much every single type of thing that there is, whether it's Dr. Terry Fisher's The Voice Den or being featured by Brett in VoiceBot AI. I mean, you name it, you've been involved. And one of the things I've noticed about your explanation of why you're involved is there's not always great prospects in these rooms. A lot of times it's your peers, it's your competitor, or it's your strategic partners, but you do it so that you can support the community and support the industry. So why is community development, community support, why is this important for your company to financially support as a sponsor, come here and emotionally support as a keynote speaker? Like, why do you prioritize that?
Our industry is interesting. It's very large in the context of how it influences industry, right? Conversational AI has a dramatic influence on our world. From an industry volume perspective, it's a small industry. So it's small but mighty, right? You see the same people at events, the same companies working in the same spaces. As you mentioned, there's only a few agencies really out there doing it as we are. And so I just think that you need to foster that community. And it's funny, when I founded the company, in these strategy meetings, I created a Venn diagram. And they said, what are your 3 biggest passions? And then at the center of those 3 biggest passions are what you should be doing for a living. Yeah. And so my 3 biggest passions at the time, and I still feel this, is I love coming up with big, bold, creative solutions for people. I'm obsessed with emerging technology, and I love bringing people together. So I find that through the work that we do with clients, we get to bring clients together with ideas and people, and we're building. And so when we look at the community, we do the same thing. How do we bring the community together? And we're doing collaborations with a number of the vendors here. And so we're having cocktails and we're having dinner and we're dreaming about where the industry would be a year from now. Right. And that's how we're inventing where the barriers get moved out. Right. And so I think, number one, you have to support a community that supports you. And then there's those kind of synapses that spark when you're with people, and you dream about where the industry's going to go. Yeah.
Any final thoughts for you in terms of like, what should people know in terms of reaching out? Like, do they just go to your website? Do they reach out to a specific account manager? Like, do they want to reach out to you, and should that be email or Twitter, LinkedIn? Like, so what's the first step if people say, okay, voice as a program, not a product. I'm intrigued. Yeah. I want to talk to these guys and see if they're a good fit for what we have going on.
Yeah, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out hi@Skilled Creative. You can reach out to me personally. I'm always happy to talk about voice. Brandon @Skilled Creative. And the one thing that I've been thinking about a lot recently is, if we go back 3 years ago, I would argue that voice was at its peak. There's that innovation chart, hype cycle peak, trough of disillusionment, productivity scale. Right. And 3 years ago, I'd say the conversational AI industry was in a hype cycle, right? Where you go to a talk, you go to an event, everyone there said, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow, I made a voice game, it's going to be great. And you can feel that is slowed, right? We've come off the hype cycle. And I think a lot of people who were in that hype cycle have left the industry. And many of them are in the Metaverse, which is why I'm so curious about the Metaverse. And so a lot of talent are now minting NFTs or getting into crypto or blockchain. But at the same time that we've come off the hype cycle, there's been more investment in the space than there ever has been before. Right. And so I think that we're entering a golden era for voice of this productivity scale where there's more tools that are truly resourced than ever before. The people that are still in the space were in the space and are in the space for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested in exploring voice, or you want to bring your brand into voice, or you want to work in voice, there's never been a better time, because there's true scale to the effectiveness of the channel.
Yeah.
And yet it's decluttered to a degree. And so if you're intrigued by the space, get in now, because we're about to hit a really exciting next 2 or 3 years. And any way that we can help people do that, let us know. We're always happy.
Everyone on LinkedIn, I salute you.
Thank you.
I'll be back again soon.